Welcome to our Quick Fire Friday podcast. This is the Grow a Small Business Podcast Friday series, designed for people who need big insights in little time. In just 20 minutes each week, with no fluff, just real, proven tactics from people who know their stuff. With your hosts, Mick, AJ, and me, Rob Cameron.
Well, Leslie, as I was saying, thanks for making the time to catch up with us today. Look, I think you've got a lot of value to share with our audience, but I might kick it off by just getting you to give us a little bit of an introduction into how you explain who you are and what it is that you do for entrepreneurs.
Well, thanks, Rob. Well, Leslie Hassler, obviously. Company name is Your Biz Rules. And what we are is basically a fractional C suite firm for businesses before they've hired the C suite leadership. So that means we work across the entirety of the business. But really, what we focus on with our clients is getting them predictably profitable, growing and scaling in a way that actually improves their quality of life.
Well, a couple of things you've touched on there that I love the sound of. Predictably profitable, I think, is something everyone's looking for, particularly in the early stages of a business journey. But also, I guess, not forgetting that we've got a life outside of business. I think that's really important as well. So, tell me a bit about the type of clients that you tend to work with, and in particular, what is it that brings them to you?
I love this question because I think so many people, when they think about their clients, they think demographics, so the facts of the clients. But really, what we found is, while a couple of those pieces play true, it's really much more about the psychographics, what's going on in our business owners' minds.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times for our business owners, like if I give you just a couple of the facts, is we typically have 90% of our clients are service-based businesses, 10% being product-based or a blend of the two. The last 34 clients have been across 17 different industries. So we're not necessarily industry specific. And in that way, what we do, because a lot of people are always concerned, do you know my industry? And the truth is, we know business, we know people, we know what it takes to become profitable, grow, and scale without necessarily needing to know all the specifics in the industry. And I think one of the I guess, really big wins for our clients because of that is we can take something that's normal, day to day, run of the mill in industry A and revamp it and put it into industry B, and it's innovative and it's highly profitable. It gives us the ability to kind of get the best practices across industries and bring it to our clients to their benefit.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. I think there's a lot to be said for having a mix of people helping you that know your industry, but also others from outside for exactly the reasons you've just touched on. I see a lot of benefit of bringing ideas from one industry to another. And I think where business owners are too myopic on their particular business, it does tend to restrict, I guess, the ideas that are available to them. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
I found the same to be true in my personal journey. Multiple viewpoints actually gives me a better, holistic picture than necessarily a single viewpoint that, to your words, might be myopic in its knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me, is there a typical process that you take your clients through when they start working with you?
So one of the what we use is the scaling rich method. So it's kind of our proprietary method that does look at some key basics. So the underpinnings of our work is we're always going to start with the cash of the business first because you need cash in order to grow and scale. Growth devours cash, scale produces cash. So we really need to know the numbers. So we do start with that first. But then what happens next is we use the data of the business to determine strategy. Fancy way of saying we figure out what needs to be fixed, where your low hanging fruit are, so we can start to kickstart the growth and put together a 90-day strategic plan. So our team develops those plans, and we stand there hand in hand with our clients to execute, implement, and get the things done. Now, that is the underpinning, and we do a lot of what I would call rinse, lather, and repeat. We're going through the same process repetitively because that's how we get traction and how we can get things like exponential growth. But when our clients come to us, there is usually one singular problem, the big problem that they have. Maybe that's in operations. Maybe it is finances. Maybe it's team. Maybe it's marketing or sales. The benefit of having that fractional C suite is we actually have on our staff the subject matter experts who are really we can lean into first, but we've never seen a single problem that is just about that one problem. So, for instance, operations just isn't about operations. There's a people component, there's a money component, there's a process component, and that's why our other experts can come in and we can collaborate as a team on a client's work to be able to get things going. So, in that way, no client, not well. Let me see. While our clients do share, like we have several clients going through team expansion, and so we're helping and supporting them through that hiring process and onboarding process in their business. But no client, two clients' strategic plans look alike. So if you're looking for that formula, like you must do step A, step B, step C, that's not us. We're really about, okay, what does your business need? Oh, guess what? Business A, you need to be on step D, but two, you need to be on step A. It's about starting meeting people where they are and getting them on the right track that aligns with their goals and their vision. So in that way, the work of what we do is highly customized.
Yeah. But I think your point to looking at the cash as a starting point, understanding the key data points within a business to formulate the strategy, and a 90-day plan. It seems really consistent with some of the best practice advice I've heard on this podcast from others as well. So it's interesting to hear you're finding the same things work. And of course, all of this is completely industry agnostic. It doesn't matter which industry you're in. 90 days seems to be a good planning cycle for most sort of small to mid-sized businesses. So yeah, like I say, really interesting to hear you're finding the same thing.
It's one of those things. I think people are scared of strategic planning. And if you think about to our childhoods when they're like, what's your 10-year plan? What's your 5-year plan? Well, life just changes too fast for that anymore. Those plans can become really outdated. And I think it's important to have a long-term vision, know where you're growing to for sure. But the 90-day is just long enough to get results, but just short enough that I'm not going to lose your attention. You know, people won't get quite bored. So we actually get a lot more done effectively on that. And it winds up being a lot easier for people.
Are you a small business owner who is ready to take your professional growth to the next level? Sign up to the Grow a Small Business weekly newsletter. This is your go-to email every Friday and will take about 2 minutes to read. Join the Grow a Small Business community who, like you, are investing in their professional development. Each week, we curate valuable resources, whether it's expert advice, books, podcasts, industry insights, or actionable strategies. We've got you covered. Leave your email at growasmallbusiness.com/weekly.
So I guess just to bring this to life a little bit, can you talk us through either a case study or a hypothetical example of clients that you've worked with to show us sort of where they've started and where you've been able to get them to?
Sure. Well, actually, a client that I have an appointment with just later on this week, somebody that's been with us for several years. So our clients do tend to stay with us for several years. But when this business came in, I think the owner was taking home maybe $125,000 a year, which hey, that's not bad. That's a six-figure salary. But we're in an industry that could achieve a lot more. Within the 4 years, they took home well over $1 million last year. And there was a lot that had to happen in order for that to be a reality for them to see that kind of growth. And the things that I talked about, being able to dig into the data, when we first started out and really got to understand the business, what we could see is they had enough foundations in place. They had the team in place. They had enough systems. They could get clients going, but they just hadn't really entered into a period of scalability. And what we saw, and it was so funny when I presented the plan, I was like, I think we can go from your revenue, which was just over around 500,000. So I think we can go to 2 million. And they were like, yeah, right. Who are you? And I was like, no, here's why. Let me show you. Let me prove it to you. And they're like, there's no way. There's no way. I was like, well, let me ask you, what if we just play? What if we just try? Like, what if we stop saying no way and we just see what happens if we allow it? And in that first 9 months, we made it to 2 million.
Wow.
And we've doubled since then. So I think there's this expectation that business owners have that growth has to be slow in order to be safe. But the truth is, it takes you just as much time and money and effort to grow slowly as it does to grow exponentially. You need to have some foundations in place, right, in order to make that possible. But to know when the moment is to turn it on so that you can go into a period of scalability is really important. But all the signs that you'll see when you're at that fence post, and this is where this business owner was, all the signs were counterintuitive. And so they didn't believe that it was possible, primarily because they'd never done it before. They didn't understand what they were seeing. And what they were seeing was, feeling like they're caught between a rock and a hard spot. Like, I don't have the time to be able to do X, but I don't have the money to do Y. So what am I going to do? I can't work anymore. I can't service anymore. How am I going to, and here's the important word, their question that they're asking is, how am I? As if it really going to rely on their personal effort. And I think that was one of the things that we help unlock for this business owner is it doesn't have to necessarily rely solely on your effort. In fact, if you can multiply it either through team, partners, advisors, whatever it is, there's business models that need different people in that, then you're able to get that exponential growth without killing yourself in the process. I think though,
Yeah.
when you say like, here's this big goal, most people just think, oh, that means more work, and I have enough of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really interesting point you've just touched on there. I think what I'm hearing is that a lot of it was a mindset block as opposed to a fundamental issue with the business. It wasn't necessarily a major piece on strategy or operations. It was about believing that growth was possible, and then just being clear on which direction to take to get there. Am I translating that?
Instead, yes, I would say mindset is an issue in almost every situation, period.
Yeah. Yep.
I was giving a talk one time, and you get those bomb of questions from the audience where they're trying to stump you. And
Yeah.
somebody was like, what's the biggest problem facing business owners? And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, simple. Here, right between your ears, your
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
It's my block, it's your block, it's everybody's block. We're all getting in our own way. So in that way, yes, mindset was definitely there. But I also think the knowledge of what to do next was the hindrance. Because for business owners, for a long period of time, you know what to do, you do it, you get a result, but you're going to hit this stage to where what you are doing is not going to give you the result you're after anymore. And then you're left scratching your head. You're at that point in time. I said, if you are trying to Google to solve the problem that you're up against, but you can't find the question to ask, therefore you're not getting the answer, that means you've reached this complexity part of it's a sweet spot for us. It's where we love to be, but it's a complexity of an issue that you're in your business. And getting through it is really going to be the answer to whether you're growing or scaling. But this was a client that was ready to go. They had the foundations. Not everybody does, though. Even
Mhm.
after 5 or 10 years in business, not everybody does have all the foundations in place.
So a good point. Yeah, you're right. The foundations obviously have to be in place And sometimes there's some work to be done there to get a business ready to move to the next stage. It's great point. And look, I think you may have even partially answered my next question here, which was, if we had to boil down the conversation to one recommendation that you would have for business owners, what might that recommendation be?
We'll say that there's no gold star, there's no trophy at the end of the road for doing it all by yourself.
I love
And you
that.
can take that a lot of different ways, but you
Yeah.
don't have to do it alone.
Yeah. It's really interesting. One of the more successful business owner clients I worked with actually had very poor operational knowledge of the business they were running. And in a sense, that actually helped her to grow the business because she had to employ other people who knew what they were doing. She was not the expert, and therefore she got out of the way and just employed really great people to do their job and help give them the conditions to do what they needed to do. And her business just kept growing and growing and growing, as opposed to a lot of the other business owners who feel like they need to be the experts. They need to be across every little detail. And of course, when it's all on your shoulders, there's only so many hours in the week and only so much you can do. So,
Very true.
so I think it really resonated for me. So I love everything you're saying there, Leslie. It makes a lot of sense. So, Leslie, if people have got a bit of interest from this conversation, which I'm sure they would have, how can they find out a bit more about you and your business?
Sure. So we have a page for your listeners. It's going to be at yourbizrules.com/GASB. So grow a small business, that initials. But you can go there and we've got a couple of things for you. You can get a copy of our book, Versus That, which is really about a lot of those foundations that businesses are missing. Also, if you're interested to see if we can help you in your business, there's a way to reach out there as well.
Awesome. Well, Leslie, thank you so much for the conversation. I think we've touched on some really good stuff there, and in particular, the fact it doesn't all have to be done by you resonated very much for me. So, thanks for pointing that out again.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Want to help other small business owners improve their business? There's one quick thing you can do, which is jump over to iTunes and leave a review. Or if you don't have an account, follow us on Spotify.